Okay, semi-unofficial special feature number 2. We just got done recording our very first session ever of the Armchair Show.
Yep.
How do you think it went?
Uh, Shockingly well.
Yeah,
is the
it's
way
kind
I'll
of
describe
surprising.
it.
It's kind of surprising.
Yeah, because we didn't just record it. We also just went back and re-listened to it and been discussing things since. And it's surprising how good it sounds.
I'm hoping we're not blinded by some sort of strange narcissism that this is actually garbage.
This
just
is gonna sound really bad when we just crash and burn and we go back and listen to this and realize like this was a horrible idea.
Yeah, but and maybe that's the case. But let's just ride it out and see how it goes. So what are your hopes and dreams for the Armchair Show?
Oh my gosh, my hopes and dreams. I don't know if I've even thought that far. I mean, the biggest thing that I would love to see from this, I think, is, you know, I think more than anything else, I would just love to see like emails coming in and having
community involvement.
Absolutely, having people engaging with us and challenging us and asking us questions and, you know. Because I know something that you and I want to promote, which is the idea of conversation, but even just, you know, proper conversation, right? And so building a community where people feel free to talk and ask questions and challenge each other, but in a realm of respect and kindness and not trying to attack or misunderstand. That if someone says something you disagree with, you ask the question why or what makes you think that, not oh well that you're such an XYZ.
Yeah, it's inevitable that we're gonna have to deal with some level of trolling going on.
Sure, especially initially. Yeah,
you know, and it's gonna be interesting to kind of face that as it comes, because that's gonna be a new.
Yeah,
if we're putting our opinions and our voices out in the public realm, we're gonna get criticized very personally. So
oh yeah,
how thick is your skin?
Right. Well, I've actually been thinking about this too, and it's this because it'll be interesting because I think from two different sides, obviously, we're each gonna get tacked differently.
Yeah. So we're appealing to two sides of a lot of arguments, but that also means we're appealing to the opposite of two. Yes. We're feeding trolls of the opposing faction.
Yeah. Well, and I've actually been thinking about this, and you know, I'm kind of waiting for the first time we get name called or something like this, and or getting a collection of these, right? And then don't want to feed the trolls, right? So I don't want to like call out, hey, you know, Joe from Minnesota said, you know, I'm a racist, right? Or whatever, right? Which I'm not, but people say things, right? But I think if we get like a collection of these emails and be like, hey, here's some of the things that some people are saying about us, right? Here's some things that, you know, they're saying, you know, that Shane actually believes, or that I actually believe, or labeling us or something. It's like, all right, you know what? We're getting some of these feedback. Let me respond to that general thing. I'm not saying who said it. I'm not giving that person that kind of credit or attention. But you know what? I'm going to respond to this.
You know, it'd be interesting is if through that kind of feedback, we discover some new stuff about ourselves.
Oh, snap! You mean we might actually grow from this experience?
Yeah, we might.
Well, I mean, and you know, maybe that's kind of your part of what you're hoping to get out. I think I agree with that, but I'm kind of curious for you. What are you hoping to get out of this?
Man, I don't know. This whole idea was born out of the idea that we just like talking to each other about really heavy stuff. You know?
We're doing it anyway. We might as well record it and do something with this.
Yeah.
Since we end up in these conversations regardless.
But I'd be lying if I didn't say that I once we conceptualize this idea of sharing our crazy conversations, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I've fantasized about the potential future with that. The community
like I said before, you're the dreamer.
Yeah, I'm the dreamer. That's true. Which is kind of weird because it's counterintuitive to kind of our beliefs about the universe and stuff.
That's true.
Like you're very practical.
You're the super like scientific. You know, all that matters. All that is. It's all biological systems.
Yeah.
But you dream big.
Yeah.
And I'm the faith-based one, and I'm like, well, practically speaking,
faith is number one in your in your whole life. But when we come to a big dream, you're like, all right, well, first you need to do step A to get
That's
there.
right.
I'm like, damn it, just suspend your disbelief for a minute. We could take over the world with this.
That's right. But anyway, you were saying.
Oh, I guess the community involvement thing kind of is exciting, but also a little bit scary.
Sure.
For
Me too.
myself. But I think that I'd like to somehow instill some sort of idea or share this notion that like you can hug each other over these party lines. You know, there's a lot of love to be shared among all of humanity, and maybe that humans are altogether good, and it doesn't matter what you believe. You could discuss it with somebody that you love, and come to some really interesting conclusions and learn stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think we've decided that we're gonna explore a lot of topics, a very wide range of topics.
Yeah.
In the show.
Well, and I think like you were mentioning briefly, and I think it's interesting, is the idea that, you know, we're talking about trying to make other people think about it, but I mean, through this, I mean, we're gonna have to really think about these things.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we kind of do anyway, but like when we're really like putting our ideas out there and really discussing them with another person directly, and knowing that potentially other people are listening, we're really gonna have to actually question ourselves too, of like, well, why do I believe this, or why do I think that, or, you know, what is my rationale, or maybe it's a question I've never thought of before, you know, looking deeper in these things. And so I definitely think we're gonna both grow from this, and you know,
I hope that's the case.
I'm you know, I'm not gonna lie, I'll be a little selfish and say I hope some people will end up agreeing with me. You know, because obviously I think I'm right about certain things, otherwise everyone does, right? You know, that's why anyone has a belief or a thought or a thing, because they think it's correct. No one believes something they think is false.
Yeah. Okay, I got two things now I want to say.
Okay.
But now that you said that, that's actually kind of cool, because you can actually use the inevitable trolling as a benefit.
Okay.
Almost.
I'm curious where you're going with this.
Because if somebody's challenging your beliefs, or rather, if you're really, really pissed somebody off who doesn't disagree with you, or who disagrees with you but with a bad argument against you, yeah, I don't know. There might be some good there. Instead of being angry, you can just be like, I don't know. My second point is, I lost that point.
Okay, that's
thinking
fine.
about my second one.
That's fine.
And now I lost my second one trying to think about my first one.
Well, I think, well, maybe this is where you're going. I don't know. But I was thinking, kind of, I mean, that is partially kind of my point of time to bring up these things with the trolls, because, or these like backlashes that we might get, because these are things that people say and people, you know, throw out, and things that happen in the real world. And so by addressing them, you know, we can, again, not with anger or whatever, but actually addressing these, you know, responses or name calling or whatever. It's like, hey, let's actually talk about what you're saying. Yeah. You know, and you know, maybe someone who's been called same kind of thing, kind of give them that understanding of like
approaching these controversial ideas with an open mind, sort of.
Exactly.
It's all good. I remembered my second point.
Okay, go for it.
That was the potential to potentially actually actually change people's minds. That's a really, really, really hard thing to do.
It is.
But as somebody who has gone through some major, like, ideological and philosophical changes in my life, I could tell you from personal experience, it's a very positive one to let down your pride and rethink some things that you once thought concrete.
Well, and I think we as humans, just on the whole, whatever we believe, whatever we think, it's very hard to drop those defenses, because
it's very natural to hold those defenses up.
Yes, absolutely, because, you know, what's more personal than your own thoughts and ideas about life and science and faith and values and all these things, right? I mean, those are the most personal things to us, you know? So being able to actually let down your guard and, you know, genuinely
not easy to do.
Not only question them, but let someone else who's opinion might be different, speak to that and give it a fair shake.
Yeah.
That's not an easy thing to do.
It's not, but I can tell you, it's very rewarding.
Oh yeah,
it's really, really rewarding.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say that if you've never, like, because there is definitely a tendency to not even listen to the opinions of someone who disagrees with you.
Yeah.
Not listen to the other side and the people who
Yeah.
are making those things. But if you've never done that, if you've never let your thoughts be challenged, how can you really know that you actually believe those things? And it's just not the only thing you've ever heard.
Yeah.
Even if the person doesn't change your mind, right? Even if you ultimately disagree with what the person has to say, and I don't mean disagree in just in like a gut reactionary kind of way like we often do, but genuinely listening to what the person has to say, weighing it out, comparing it to what you think, comparing it to the other way that you see the world and the things and the evidences or whatever, and then reformulating an opinion. Like, one, again, like we said, that's really hard. But two, if you haven't done that, you might just be believing what you believe because you've just had tons of confirmation bias, essentially.
Yeah.
And you've never really given it a fair shake of looking at a different option.
That might not be totally your fault. It's not necessarily...
No, definitely. I wouldn't say that either.
Yeah. Culturally speaking, you could grow up in in a place where the entire social accepted idea is just completely wrong.
Well, and like we said, that's such a human thing, right?
Yeah.
This goes back to actually what we recorded that podcast talking about the internet and such. It's I think that's one of the reasons that it is so backlash and why there are going to be trolls to these things is because, it is so hard to let ourselves be vulnerable enough to be in a position where our feelings and thoughts might get changed.
I know it's a really common saying, and I think it may be a famous one by a famous person who spoke it, but I don't remember. But
that infamous famous person,
quote unquote TM famous person. I forget the exact words, so I'm paraphrasing, but basically, the wise man understands he knows nothing, and the basic idea of being open-minded to being wrong about something.
Sure. Is
wisdom, or at least opens you up to be. It's a wise thing to say, I don't have all the facts.
Yeah.
What from your point of view, or what have you? Because there's such a huge body of knowledge in the entire history of man that not one person can consume it and summon it all at a whim.
Of course not.
It's impossible.
Yeah, no, it's impossible.
We've all been exposed to different experiences, different education, different stimuli, even, and everyone has something to offer. Even as trolly people can be, who knows? Maybe they've got some really strong reason to believe what they believe, but also maybe there's a shred of truth in there. So I guess it is worth exploring.
Yeah.
Well,
and that, and I think that is why I want to address them in a calm way, because one, shut down, wouldn't it be hypocritical of us to then not listen to our dissenters?
I know, yeah, absolutely.
Right?
But we are each other's dissenters.
Not entirely.
No, not really.
We agree on a lot of things. We disagree on a lot of things, but it's not even like there's only two options to a lot of these things.
Yeah,
there's multiple options. Yeah. So even the angry haters, or dissenters, or people who disagree, let's respond to them too. Not in a way that encourages that, but at least in a way that one shows, hey, we understand that people might see us this way or whatever, and we can respond to that, but also that it still continues the conversation, right? It continues the conversation, and I think ultimately continues to build the community of open expression, right? Of, all right, yeah, there's some people who are calling this and that, but then let's call that out and be honest about, does that even make sense? Does responding to this person in this way make any sense? Or calling them this name, does that actually make sense, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's kind of where I'm going with it.
So if you could interview 3 people on our show someday, what are your dream 3 interviewees?
My dream 3 interviewees. Oh, jeez. That's a That's a tall.
Just three.
If you if you have three, go ahead. I gotta think about this for a second.
I would love to interview Elon Musk someday.
Oh, that'd be great. I would love to interview Elon Musk.
He's got a really weird brain.
Yeah.
It's kind of fascinating and almost a little bit tragic, I think, because he said he can't turn it off, and has often said like people wouldn't want to be him, and I'm like, I want to know the mechanisms of his thought processes on things, because he's like a modern day Tony Stark.
He kind of is.
Yeah. I think he'd be a really famous or a really fascinating interviewee. I would also like to interview what's that dude's name? Joel Olstein?
Joel Olstein?
I want to interview him.
Oh my gosh, that would
probably it'd be
I'd
kind
have
of
to,
rough. It'd be like a sweaty.
Oh man, I would.
I want to take him on so bad.
I'd have to control myself in that interview. I have feelings like you don't believe.
So do I.
Yeah,
Dang.
he'd be an interesting one. I mean, this is incredibly specific, but I would love to interview J. Warner Wallace, who's
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, no, like I said, this is my nerdy apologetic side, but he's a gentleman who's he's retired now, I think, but was a cold case homicide detective.
Okay.
He was an atheist for many years,
Hmm.
and then applied his cold case forensic knowledge to Christianity, and ended up converting.
Whoa.
Yeah, and
That's an interview I want now.
Yeah, he's a fascinating guy. He's written some books. Some of his books are the ones that I would like to read for here, but he's a really interesting guy. You know what? We're going crazy. Let's get Richard Dawkins in here.
Oh yeah. All right.
Richard Dawkins and Stephen
cool.
Hawking.
Stephen Hawking, that would be excellent. Yeah, that would be amazing. My third one is Jim Carrey.
Oh.
I know that's really weird, but the dude is like, he has such an interesting perspective on life. He's been through a lot, and man, I've been seeing videos of him just talking about his own art and everything, and he's just fascinating. I've gotten legitimately hooked on him showing up on YouTube and stuff. I've been watching him on all the talk shows and stuff. He's got a new show out right now that I'm gonna watch for sure, but he's all about energy and nothing matters and everything matters, and it's very strange, and I just want to pick his brain.
Oh, coming off of that, actually, oh shoot, what is his name? The actor who is in Jurassic World, and
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, yes, Star-Lord. I'd like to interview him. No,
I don't want to interview. I would entertain the thought if we were able to get him.
Do you know why?
Well, I don't know why you do want to interview him.
Okay,
no. What is that?
So, because I saw it. Did you see his acceptance speech for?
That's the very reason. That's the very reason I don't want to talk to him.
Why? I'm curious. He said some interesting things. I'm curious what his beliefs are now. He teased his beliefs and thought process. So I'm curious. Don't you want to know?
I guess that'd be fine. I have to get over a large speed bump of grumpiness about that nonsense that he spouted into that microphone that day.
I disagree. I liked that speech.
Well, hopefully the Armchair Show gets big enough. Yeah. Someday we can. And then we'll show him this.
All right, Jim Carrey, Chris Pratt, and the two of you and me.
We have got lofty goals, my friend. This is... I don't know.
I don't have these lofty goals. This is your question.
I got excited.
But
that's what I do. I'm the dreamer.
That's what we're gonna have. It's gonna be the four of us: you, me, Chris Pratt, and Jim Carrey, all on one episode.
Okay. Yeah.
That would be the weirdest.
I think it would be. I wonder if you and I would eventually just be quiet, and those two would be like duking it out.
I don't know how I would even respond. Oh, but Joel Olstein, that'd be a weird. Oh,
I just want to. I don't know. Maybe it's cruel of me, with my, my message of humanity is good, but I want to take him on from a very hostile position.
Oh, like I said, I'd have to. I guess theoretically we're on the same side, but
I don't think you are.
I don't.
I'm not
think
even
so.
convinced he believes the things he says.
I don't. Yeah, me. I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So who knows? Again,
I think more realistically,
10 years from now, when we have Richard Dawkins in here.
Yeah. Dang. I would be afraid of being starstruck.
Right? I mean, that would just be so intimidating.
Yeah.
It's like...
I suppose if we got to that level, it's because we've had some level of success interviewing people already. I wonder how we would be at interviewing people. That's actually an interesting idea.
I don't know. I mean, we're going to start with the friends. That's easy.
Yeah.
But...
There's some...
Heck, you know what? You know what my realistic goal is right now?
What?
To get on Hot Ones.
Oh, nice. Yeah, the armchair hosts.
We might be able to do
together
that.
on Hot Ones.
We might be able to pull that one off.
Yes. Dang. Sean Evans, you heard it here first in the special features episode. We want to meet you, dude.
You won't hear till after we make it there, probably.
Yeah.
If anything.
So we'll share this with you then.
There we go.
And maybe you'll get a kick out of it.
Yeah, one of our inspirations.
Thing is about him, though, is he does a lot of online research about people, and we don't have that much of a presence.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, maybe by then.
We gotta get an Instagram, man. That's what it's all at these days.
Damn it. Social media.
Snapchat.
We're gonna have to have an episode about social media.
Definitely. I have a question on this thing. It's real quick. So, just to name out some names, just because it's kind of funny, I think, for a start. What are your podcasts that are kind of inspirations for you for this? But what are the ones that you look to that you're like, oh, that's a cool idea, or I like the way they do that, or this is just one where I get a lot of information from that I'm probably going to bring into this.
Yeah. Okay, right off the top of my head, I have to say Radiolab.
Yeah, I know you mentioned that one a lot.
They are my ultimate favorite. Those guys put together such a compelling story. Sometimes I start an episode, the headline is just completely boring to me, and then I end up fascinated by the end. I'll finish a drive home, and I'll sit in my driveway and finish the episode.
Nice.
Because they're so good. A close second is the TED Radio Hour, which is actually a show on NPR, but they post it as a podcast. The TED Radio Hour is this great host. He goes and he interviews people relating to a topic that was covered in a TED Talk, and then he splices in information from TED Talks.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
It's very... and then another one is Science Friday. Same host as the TED News Radio Hour. I can't remember at the top of my head at this time of night, but
yeah.
I would say those.
It's late.
yeah. I would say those are my three. But to be fair, two of those being NPR shows that are also posted as podcasts.
Sure. That's fine. One of mine's a radio show.
Okay. But I will finish off and say, specifically, there's this podcaster named Bridger, who is an amateur, but he did Tales of Tyria when Guild Wars 2 was coming out.
Okay.
And I got really into his podcast about Guild Wars, which I'm not even that big a fan of, but
he was just compelling enough.
He's a very good, and then he eventually did Tales of Citizens. I had nothing to do with that. But he did a show about Star Citizen, and he continued on his Tales of podcast series after I was already a fan. And he's a good guy, and maybe he is somebody we might realistically interview someday.
That'd be cool.
He's very intelligent with game theory stuff. And then I also feel compelled to mention, and this will be the last one.
No, that's fine.
I'm Mike hogging. But that guy, I sent you the YouTube video of him reviewing Hero Quest.
Oh,
the best thing about Hero Quest is the art.
Yeah.
He was so awesome. I want to meet him and shake his hand and be like, make more videos, dude. He's so good. He's so good.
For me, I mean, I especially like kind of stylistically, but certainly knowledge base wise, I could not go without mentioning Stand to Reason podcast. That's one of the main apologetics podcasts I listen to. So especially if you ever hear me referring to an apologist I really like, It's probably Greg Kokel,
Huh.
who is the main voice. He's been doing it for like I think like 25 years or something crazy.
Wow.
But I just really like his style, and he's very non-confrontational and these things, and so that I'd be missed without doing that. Other than that, pulling from a lot of different other places, like actually kind of like the it's called the Co-optional Podcast,
Okay.
and
I
it's
feel like I heard of that one.
maybe they're YouTubers
Okay.
that they're gaming YouTubers, nothing to do with anything that we're doing, but that's like a 4-person panel, kind of just again very conversational, but they'll discuss a game or they'll discuss a news topic in gaming and these kind of things, and so that very kind of casual take turns kind of style I really like.
Nice.
We mentioned Hot Ones, right? You know,
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate him.
Yep. He's really good.
Yeah, and I was just talking to you about this, but yeah, the Happy Jack. I don't listen to it as much anymore, just because I don't do a lot of RPG gaming. But Happy Jack's RPG podcast.
If we had the free time in our lives,
Oh,
dude, we'd be RPGing like crazy.
I'd love to have the Poxy Boggarts on. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
And then yeah, this is actually the podcast I listen to the most. I can't believe I was completely blanking on it. Is the Dice Tower. The board gaming podcast.
I watch a lot of
to.
their YouTube videos still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They actually might be one of my biggest inspirations for just style wise, because it's
Don't
it's 2 co-hosts.
you don't think they're kind of mean to each other sometimes? Or maybe it's
on the YouTube videos? Yeah, sometimes. The podcast is it's still Tom, who's the guy with the hats usually.
okay.
But
He's a very nice guy.
The co-host is a different person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's a Mark Summer.
Oh,
Or-
all right. I was very turned off by their.
Eric Summer, not Mark.
Eric
I
Summer,
don't know where
oh.
Mark came from.
Yeah.
Eric Summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
I was very turned off by their, in their videos, like how mean they are to each other. I was like on a series of top 10 lists videos with them, and
yeah.
I was like, that's kind of uncomfortable, but I want to learn about board games. So.
Yeah, try the podcast. I think you'd like the podcast better.
Okay.
It's much more just kind of informative, and they discuss topics and do questions and all kinds of things.
Nice.
But they have a great back and forth. They have a great rapport. You know, very open, taking turns, giving a chance. And so, yeah, no, the Dice Tower I think might actually be, like, stylistically wise, the one that I'm probably the most inspired by.
Would you say that we're close to that?
I'd say we're pretty close to
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I know they, especially, you know, because they're actually a big production now. I mean, they have their own conventions that they got a crew, they got all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
That's
Which
pretty
again,
intense.
they just started as like a website doing board game reviews and then a podcast.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And they've grown into this massive thing.
That's so cool.
It's really cool.
So maybe that's the future that awaits us.
Maybe.
Except I'm in a weird place in my life where I love my job so much I don't want to stop doing it. It's a very strange feeling, but
that's a new one, huh?
yeah, this is definitely a first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna always have to do it on the side, but hey, you never know. You never know.
You never know.
Because also having complete financial freedom and creative freedom and scheduling freedom sounds really amazing too. So who knows?
Well, you know, when you're self-employed, that means you just never stop working.
I've heard that said. Yeah.
It just means you're always on the clock.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, I guess that's, you know, this weird early moment of having listened to our first trial podcast and being surprised with how well it went.
Yeah, kind of inspired.
We oddly inspired ourselves. That sounds really narcissistic.
That's very strange. What does that mean about? What does that say about us?
I guess we are narcissistic.
You know what? Maybe. Well, I think a narcissist would have assumed it was going to be good before trying it.
That's true.
And
maybe we're pessimistic.
Full disclosure, yeah, we were both very nervous about listening to our own first episode.
Yeah, we figured it was going to be terrible.
Yeah, and
it was oddly not horrific.
Yeah, we kind of. I think I speak for both of us to say we kind of fell out of the moment of actually listening to it and got very immersed in our own. Now that's narcissism right there.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna say, I don't think you're helping our case.
yeah. Yeah, well, we listened to ourselves because we were trying to be critical of ourselves, so we can fine tune some things that we thought maybe were going to need to be fine. And there is a lot. There's a substantial amount of things
and a lot of room to grow and everything.
But I saw some real beautiful potential there, and I hope we can do something with this.
Well, and I think, to keep it on the less narcissistic, more pessimistic side, there wasn't nearly as much to work on and fix in a big sense as I think either of us were expecting. I think we were expecting like majorly look like, okay, that was crash and burn. We're probably just gonna trash that or something, But
there was nothing like, oh, we need to literally change how we have a conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Or like that made no sense. That didn't play out at all.
Yeah.
And I don't think that happened. And so I was generally really pleased with it. So
yeah. So the other special feature. Well, I don't know how many special feature episodes we're gonna make. Honestly, right now, yeah,
we haven't made a real episode yet. How many special features are we gonna have?
we kind of
an entire 3-disc DVD set of only special features. Haven't only had 2 real episodes.
Yeah, we kind of joked that these might be special feature episodes eventually. So I don't know. You might be hearing this sometime, but mostly this is our experimenting with our technology that we have available to us and different settings and things. And
this is that weird podcast thing where you're talking to the future people.
Yeah.
That, like, it's 2018 right now. I mean, just a little sign of everything. This is September 14th, 2018, and so it's like, in 2055 when people like the aliens find this and they're like, what were those 2 idiots just sitting around talking about?
Yeah. So yeah, one of the other special feature episodes is the episode we were referring to a few minutes ago. That was our first one. That was our first one. We think there might be something here, and we hope that you guys like it. I think we've been having a lot of fun.
Nothing else, we're enjoying ourselves.
This is great, man. This is cool.
I think it's a Benjamin Franklin quote that I kind of like, which is who can laugh at himself shall always be in good humor. And so nice. If nothing else, at least if we're enjoying it, then I guess it's not wasted time.
Nice. Well, anyways, with all of that said, I've been Shane.
I've been Jonas.
And this has been an Armchair Show bonus feature podcast.
Part 2.